Hey guys, James here again. This means what if Luffy was a Marine? I've done this what if a few dozen times, honestly. I just like doing it, it's fun. And it gets better with each new Marine we see. So in this one, it begins with the fact that Luffy still eats Devil Fruit, he still gets the Straw Hat. I would say his backstory is honestly not any different. When Luffy is 14, Garp, let's say, like, he kind of got sick of Ace's escapades at sea and basically would drag Luffy to Marine HQ, telling him, like, yeah, originally your dad, like, you not even say, like, your dad be like, thought to himself, like, Dragon, I know you left him with me so he could find his own path, and I tried to encourage him a certain way, but I refuse to raise a criminal. I've done it twice, and it's ended badly each time. I can't have that. So he begins to raise Luffy himself, or not raise, but train Luffy himself at Marine HQ. And Luffy is trained for he studies like we see like there's Marine classes and all that. Luffy studies in that. He trains with Garp hand-to-hand combat, all that. Garp is very proactive with training. He's basically Luffy is the current Kobe, basically, is the best way to put it. Because this Luffy can beat Kobe in a single flick. So yeah, talking about like pre-Garp training Kobe, he'd already beat him like a single punch, but a flick would be pushing it. But, we go on to Luffy 17, and by then, he's already gone up a few ranks. At this point, Luffy in rank, and I would say when he started, he was an apprentice, basically. And then as he turned, like, oh, he's 15 now, he's a petty officer. And then 17, when he's, so first when he's 15, first 14, recruit, or apprentice. 15, petty officer. 16, warrant officer. 17, lieutenant junior grade. By then, Luffy is in the Marine officer rank, and he's not able to command his own vessel, but with a bit of, like, his natural charisma, he convinced, like, Garp to, like, hey, let me have a ship, like, I need to be a captain of it, but I want to select, like, at least the crew, you can have someone in charge of me, so long as I can select who's beneath me. And Garp's like, are you sure about that? Sengoku even told Garp, saying, like, Luffy is a troublemaker, but we can just have handlers on board. Those can be the people who are above him. Garp said you really trust one person to have a handle on Luffy. Sengoku said no. And then they select three handlers for Luffy. They select T-Bone, Smoker, and Doll. Those are Luffy's handlers, and Luffy gets to select the rest of the crew that gets to come aboard. And these are people that Luffy has known, he's trained with, or he's seen in the academy. So who Luffy selects are Isuka, Prince Garus, Fujaku, Tashigi. She comes with Smoker, so he can select Tashigi. Hibari, Grunt, Dr. Kobato, Ainz, Bins, and that those are the current 8 that are aboard the vessel. So yeah, those are the 8 people that Luffy has aboard that are beneath him. Well, Isuka's and him are kind of close, and they're about equal in rank. But they're okay with the setup, as Luffy picked the doctor because, well, when he asked Isuka who else he should select, she chose Kobato. So, yeah. But with this, that's the starting lineup for the Straw Hat fleet. Not fleet, but the Straw Hat vessel. So with this, as they sail, they eventually do head to the east, as Luffy said that, he's going to start his journey where he began. Plus he mentioned, and apparently the east is overrun with low-level pirates, so why not just free up our little hometown. I was wondering why Luffy agreed to be a pirate in general, not pirate, I mean marine in general, even if he was forced to do it. Well, he does it that he basically, I made all my friends, I want to fight my friends, so it's more that he's I'd rather not hurt my friends over a dream. I want to achieve the most free man in the world. King of the Pirates would be a good one, but for now, I'll focus on freedom. So King of the Pirates is more like a possibility than his set dream. Freedom is the ultimate dream that Luffy wants. While Luffy does not know hockey, but he's mastered the 6 powers, and he's basically mastered Gear 1 through 3. So, Gear 1, 2, 3, 6 powers, he has that completely mastered, including like Roku Ogan. This means Luffy's a fully mastered martial artist as well. So, with this, we go on to Luffy and the crew heading to the East Blue, and when they get here, they basically backtrack, they enter through the south, they go through there, defeat low-level pirates, and then in the east, their first pirate crew they encounter, Alvida. When they encounter Alvida, Kobe is aboard, and in fact, I would assume this would take a lot longer. This would take a lot longer to happen, like they went to the south instead of the east. So with this, I would say that at this point, Alvida's crew probably found a village or island, and they're fighting there currently. And I'll say there, where they're fighting, Shellstown. They arrive after hearing tons of gunshots, and Luffy would basically run up and just leap as far as he can, stretching his hand out and grabbing the dock, yanking himself forward. And Smoker had basically just shot his feet off and flew after Luffy, because he's a handler, that's kind of his job. And Isuka, being one of the people aboard who can swim, would basically just swim like a mad woman to shore. So, yeah. Those three get to shore, where they find Morgan's crew and Alvida, or Morgan's Marines and Alvida's crew, fighting. Luffy can tell who's the pirates pretty quickly, so immediately he would just announce who he is, and, hey, I'm Lieutenant Commander Monkey D. Luffy, and he would try to announce he's going to arrest them. Now, immediately, people were a bit confused until Smoker spoke up, yelling, "I'm Captain Smoker." And immediately, they actually commanded a lot of presence around him, even from Morgan. Alvida was ready to fight, Luffy to walk by, basically just punched through her iron kanabo and punched her in the face when they were flying away. And Smoker just yelled at Luffy, saying he should have arrested her, not just hit her. Luffy just shrugged, saying, she's either dead or stranded in the ocean. Win-win for us. But Smoker just like, I see your point, but you shouldn't have done that. Luffy basically just demolish the entirety of Alvida's crew, who was basically choosing hand-to-hand combat alone. Like, he just didn't handle it from here. It's basically run at him, and he just delivers just 2 quick blows to each of their faces, and that ends the fight right then and there. And immediately Morgan is like, isn't that Brett? Like, he said he's Lieutenant Commander. Like, Lieutenant something, and I couldn't even punch my way through all of them. So immediately, he tries to, pull rank over Luffy, trying to talk to Smoker, until Luffy put his hand up, saying, I'm the one in charge of the vessel, I'm Garp's grandson. As Garp told Luffy, if you see any arrogant bastard, pull my name. So, as Luffy does do that, because Morgan, trying to talk over him, annoyed him. Morgan immediately heard that, froze, looking at Luffy, looked at Smoker, who just nodded, and then Smoker and Luffy and Morgan talk on equal standing, so to say, even though they're both, an entire foot taller than him. Well, Smoker's 6'6", and then Morgan is 7 foot something. As they talk, Luffy would eventually they have a small party with all the people they arrested. Kobe had escaped, so no one knows he was aboard Alvida's vessel. They assume he was a random fisherman who got trapped there, and he's going along with it. And as they party, Luffy would end up talking to Zoro. As he got a little drunk, walked over. Zoro found Zoro, they talk. And Zoro tells Luffy who he is. He's like, so why are you arrested? And he didn't hear that part, so when Zoro tells him, Luffy says, so you saved a little girl and got arrested. Zoro nods, saying apparently it was a Marine pet, and I killed a Marine. Luffy says this is BS, and then would untie Zoro. He'd push him towards the ship, saying, go stay there, or our doctor can patch you up, as he just smiled at Zoro. Zoro didn't want to do it until Luffy said, if you want to, there's a swordswoman aboard there, if you want to go talk to her, and I can bring you your sword so I go inside. Zoro went to go find the swordswoman, and Luffy walked inside, with Isuka having seen what Luffy did. He told Luffy the story, she did agree it was bullshit, but told him he can't really free a prisoner. What Luffy did instead, instead of telling them he needs Zoro's swords, he just uses raw grip strength to climb up Morgan's building, and we'll find Helmuppo's room. Helmuppo is conked out like a light. Luffy would basically grab the window, crush it, and open it. Basically crush the window seal, crush it, pull it open, reach in, grab Zoro's sword, and then jump out, giving the swords to Asuka, who gives them to Zoro himself. Or gives them to Zoro herself. Next day, Morgan tries to talk about, hey, my prisoner's missing. And immediately, Luffy does talk about what he did. And when Morgan tries to, complain about Zoro, saying, oh, he killed a Marine, it was just an excuse. He didn't. With this actually exposes how corrupt the Marines here are, and leads to a fight between Luffy and Morgan. Morgan tried to basically slash on Luffy, thinking he was just some random brat. He was very much wrong. Luffy would immediately use Iron Body, and Morgan's axe would shatter on Luffy's, skin. He was Morgan, and Morgan saw his axe shatter. Luffy would immediately just raise his hand up, and palm strike Morgan right in the jaw, denting his iron jaw in half. Which did kind of ruin Morgan's entire face. As Morgan stumbled back, Luffy would basically just do a very quick succession of punches, not even using named attacks, just punching him really fast, and that knocked out Morgan right then and there. Morgan's knocked out, arrested, and Morgan's crew thanks Luffy. And Helmuppo was taken aboard, more the fact that he owes Zoro a favor, so he can pull aboard as Zoro's butler. Kobe actually just wants to enlist, and Luffy takes him aboard, saying, sure, get on board, I guess. Which immediately made Luffy's handlers a bit mad, aside from T-Bone, who's like, alright, I don't mind. If you guys think he's troublesome, I'll train him myself. I know those 6 powers. So now it's basically up to Luffy and T-Bone to train Kobe, because Smoker and Doll are not having it. So with this, we move on again to the next arc, that being Orangetown. And they're able to see basically a giant, like, parade thing, or I would say just circus-like tent. And immediately Smoker would go through like a chest with Isuka, and they pull out one poster for Buggy. They assume it's Buggy, so immediately Luffy's like, all right, well then let's go fight the guy. So they agree, and Luffy immediately winds himself up like a slingshot, and he basically would tell Kabato, steer the ship to shore. Everyone else will meet you there. She agrees to steer the ship, and Luffy would slingshot everyone over to the to Orangetown, and Luffy himself would just land on top of a building and spot where Buggy is. With this, actually would give Zoro like a marine jacket. It's like the traditional marine one, like a vest, like basically the vest you would see with Luffy right here. But Zoro wears his open, of course. So Zoro basically grabs 3 swords, spin up, and basically just like, this is my chance to prove myself. So he would spin at Buggy's crew, cutting up in the Buggy's cannon pretty easily. So there's no Buggy ball in general now. So with that, he scares them with his appearance, and being fist fight with Kabaji, and Moji and Richie would jump in as well. But as soon as those two try it, Grunt would jump in, grabbing them with his giant gorilla arm, and say, this can be an animal versus animal fight. As he fights Moji and Richie. The Grunt is a guy with like a giant red gorilla arm. I think I've seen theories where it's like, oh no, it's a Sasquatch arm. That'd be cool, but I don't really care. It's an ape arm. So we got Grunt's fighting Moji and Richie. Then Buggy tries to attack Zoro and Grunt with his arms, separating shooting knives at them. But Tashigi would jump in, saving Zoro. And then we just have Smoker, who would just let the knives hit him. And they get trapped in his body because fully smoked. So he pulls the knives out, throws them back at Buggy. And Buggy would immediately like, oh, knives can affect me. I have the chop root. Doll and T-Bone look at each other, they cut their fists in hockey, and proceed to basically just abuse Buggy right then and there, because they're both hockey users. In the canon, they're vice admirals, and I assume they knew hockey before that, at least a little bit of it. So with this, they're probably able to use hockey and beat Buggy without really even needing to use any effort. Most of the crew already could no-diff Buggy, T-Bone and Doll especially, because these two are the strongest on board, aside from Luffy. So with that, they end up beating Buggy, and they end up freeing the citizens of Orangetown. Nami goes aboard with them, but with this, when she sees how strong the crew is, she actually would tell them about, like, Arlong. Now, worst case scenario for her, she brought in Marines to kill Arlong. Best case scenario, she frees her village. So with this, they say, like, alright, we'll bring you aboard, and we're going to go through a few other islands to ensure certain things are done to restore order, but we're telling you we will free your village. And she agrees with that. They end up getting to Sir Village, and Luffy would find Usopp, who points out he's the son of Yasopp. Immediately, this already grounded for arrest for being on the Yonko crew, like at least related to a Yonko crew in some way. But Luffy actually would talk to Usopp, and Usopp tells him, his dream is to be a strong warrior of the sea like his father. He says, we can be a strong warrior by being a Marine. It'd be cool to have Yasopp's son on my crew. Usopp was a bit hesitant, but when everyone was cheering him to be a Marine, he joined in because his village was actually cheering him on for once. Immediately, Kuro was also a bit nervous now because Marines were here and all. And in the chest that they have on board of Luffy's ship, there's pictures of pirate bounties. So with this, they go through the pictures, find one for Kuro, but it says he's already dead. He's right there. Luffy actually would make up a lie on talking to Kaya, and he ends up showing her Kuro's wanted poster. Really, Kaya is surprised, and she can confirm that's her butler, Clawdor. He pulls out Nanamushi, and would basically just tell his crew, like, yeah, that's definitely Black Cat Kuro. Immediately, we end up seeing Kuro, who would overhear this, trying to charge at Luffy, because he was just keeping an eye on him and Kaya, but then when he saw Nanamushi, he rushed. But suddenly, the butler Mary would block the attack. This does confuse everyone, except for Luffy, as it's revealed that Mary has been replaced by a clay golem. The golem is bigger, trapping Kuro's hand in his chest, and it basically would rip off Kuro's arm by holding him in place and then pushing him away, or holding his arm in place and pushing him back. And this is definitely Prince Crusoe's doing. It's Prince Crusoe jumping through a window, grab Kuro by like one arm, and basically just, well, throw him out the window. As then he just grab he has like a chain and ball handcuff or just cuff and puts it on Kuro's leg. Kuro's escorted to the ship, and then they end up calling in another marine vessel, like nearby marine base for pickup, where they pick up Kuro and arrest him. When his crew does arrive, though, by then Zoro was kind of waiting on the shore while everyone else was talking to the village. And when the crew sees Zoro, he doesn't even give them the chance to dock. He literally just charges and cuts their ship in half. Their ship in half now, they're all kind of beginning to drown as the marine vessel pick up Kuro, was waiting nearby, and arrest them while they're all flailing in the water. Now, next arc. Who's up against the crew, by the way. Next arc is going to be, Brattier. On the Brattier, this is honestly not any different, but Luffy and Sanji are bonding, and Luffy actually has money, and he never really blew a hole in the Brattier with the cannon, so they're all on good terms. And this one comes to Zeph, and we have a bounty poster for Redfoot Zeph, who simply just says, we don't need to arrest him. He's cool, actually. He's obviously reformed. They actually show Sanji that not all Marines are douches, and Luffy's actually a cool guy. Full Body, who's there, disagrees and wants to arrest him. But when he tries to actually grab Luffy, telling him, who do you think you are, right? You're disobeying, Marine code. Luffy reveals, hey, I'm a lieutenant commander. You're just lieutenant. Unhand me. Pause. Luffy basically say, hey, I'm a lieutenant commander. You said you're Lieutenant Full Body. You were just a lieutenant. I rank higher. Unhand me. Full Body froze, let go Luffy, and she's a bit nervous. He tries to say, he's active bounty and all that. But Smoker and T-Bone and Doll walk over, shaking their ranks, saying, if Zeph is reformed, who cares? He's fine. So immediately, Full Body would walk outside, only to realize Gin has escaped, and then Luffy can see Gin out the window eating food with Sanji. Luffy walked over to Gin, asking his bounty and what happened, and Gin states, a warlord is hunting my crew, and I escaped barely. And Luffy actually starts with Gin, saying, if you let your crew get captured by us, we'll save you from the warlord, but we'll arrest your crew. If you're willing to sell them out to us, or let that happen, you can go free. I don't care. You can stay here if you want to. Gin was nervous, but he asked Luffy, he basically would talk to Luffy, trying to get more info, and Luffy explains everything that he would do to Krieg and his crew. Basically, they probably go to level 2 of Impel Down, and then stay there. So with that, Gin would tell his crew, knowing that it's a better fate to be arrested than be hunted by Dracula Mihawk. So when Krieg's crew arrives, they are confronted by Luffy's entire crew, and immediately T-Bone will walk up. Krieg tries to fire a cannonball, but T-Bone will jump forward, coating his blade in hockey and cutting the ship in half. He's basically T-Bone wreaking havoc on the entire crew. And we see Yusuke dart around using her rapier to actually, slap them all to the ground. With Zoro using blunt side of his blade, slash them all to the dock as well. Then as we go off the dock, we see Kujaku using her whip to, quote-unquote, enslave them, and then she would handcuff them. Once everyone is arrested, Krieg kind of just being pushed in a corner, where he's debating whether to be arrested or be killed by Dracula Mihawk. He chooses being arrested. Mihawk arrives, and he actually does ask a request to kill them all because they disturbed him. But Luffy just said, sorry, but we can't do that. They were sold out to us. This is Mihawk saying, how about a duel then? He points out to Shashigi, Zoro, Isuka, and T-Bone, saying, all of them fight him, and if he's impressed, he'll let them go. Or he'll let them take in Krieg's crew. If they don't impress him, he'll kill them all. He'll kill Krieg's crew, not the Marines. He can afford that. He looks at the crew, and Zoro steps up, saying he'll fight him alone. He's been dreaming of this, so he wants to do it. But Shiki will jump in, and he wants to do it too. She's aspired to face a Supreme Grade blade. With that, those two would fight Mihawk, and they basically don't get in each other's way, but they definitely do not team up. They would never do that for this first fight like this. By the time it's over, though, Zoro had the slash across his chest, but well, we actually see Zoro had thrown his blade to the side because, well, he knew that these were fine pieces of steel. They were confirmed so by Tashigi. But the blades are never shattered. So with his blades being thrown to the side, he is still slashed, but Mihawk did admire the fact that he did not sacrifice his blades. With Tashigi, she slashed across the back as well, but Zoro called Mihawk a coward for doing such a disgusting attack. Mihawk is impressed by Zoro and his honor. Tashigi was not as impressive, but her willpower was definitely good. So, they pass, he leaves. But he does tell Luffy saying, with that hat, you carry the will of a pirate, but the role of a marine. It's intriguing. But Luffy just smirked, saying, he's a confusing guy. Which did surprise a lot of people on his crew, as he explained the role of the history of the hat. And it's true, Luffy carries the will of a pirate with the role of a marine. So, yeah. Next up, Nami notices her boat because they're going to face Arlong. So Arlong's crew would see the giant marine flag, but he sees Luffy standing on the deck of a ship, and he's staring directly in Arlong's soul, like Arlong eye contact. With this, Arlong sends out some of his crew to go, just cause a whirlpool, sink the ship. But the moment that Arlong's crew gets in the water, or gets near the ship in the water, they see Isuka and Zoro in the water, and Isuka would use her speed to basically cut down the majority of Arlong's crew, and Zoro's basically fighting Hachi, as Zoro's not as good of a water fighter as Hachi is. Isuka chimed in, impaling Hachi to the side, then yanking her blade out, and they throw Hachi aboard the ship to get arrested. So, yes, he's arrested. Hachi's arrested, and then they jump aboard shore, and it leads to a fight between Luffy's crew and Arlong's crew. Now, Luffy's fighting Arlong himself, and it's a pretty easy fight. Luffy's much stronger than he is in canon. I would say this version of Luffy's stronger than any version of pre-time skip Luffy we've ever seen, but he's definitely not as strong as, post-time skip Luffy. I would say, if anything, he's more comfortable in power to, 3D2Y Luffy. That's only because of his mastery over martial arts and almost mastery over his Devil Fruit. So, yeah. So, with this, Luffy's able to pretty easily beat Arlong with really no effort. And then after that, it'd go on to, let's say, Chu and Kurubi. Comes to fighting Kurubi, Sanji does fight Kurubi, as I wanted Sanji to join the crew still. So, Sanji and Kurubi fight. And it's a very martial art-based fight, but eventually Kujaku would wrap up Kurubi's hands with her whip, and Sanji would take the help from a woman, so he would. So he basically just does a roundhouse kick to Kurubi's jaw, knocking him out right then and there. Then with Shu, Usopp is running around for a little bit, but he already would save him by basically firing a blast right into his kneecap, making him fall to one knee. And then Usopp would basically swing around. And with the fact that he's training to be a warrior of the sea, it's the fact that the handlers are training everyone to get stronger and stronger, two of the handlers even helping everyone learn hockey. Usopp has combat training at this point. He's been training hand-to-hand combat and how to use his slingshot, not as a weapon, but how to use it more effectively with sniping, such as the help with Hibari. So Usopp would be able to fire a Tabasco star into the eye of Chu, making him basically fall back, screaming in pain that his eye is full of hot sauce, or spicy, or just spice in general. And with that, Hibari and Usopp would jump in with a mind attack. Usopp basically going in for an uppercut as hard as he can, and Hibari slamming her rifle over top of Chu's head as hard as possible as well. This one attack basically just flattens Chu's head, so taking him out of the fight right then and there. And with the fodder, pretty easily wiped out. And with Nami, she would basically go through she basically goes through her room, so Arlong's the top of it basically, and burns the entire place down. But we end up seeing Tashigi walk out holding Arlong's blade, being very impressed by it. And Zoro just mentioned, his blades were obviously not as effective underwater, and he needs stronger blades to fight stronger opponents. So yes, she says he's going to retire his blades and put them up on his wall, which makes Tashigi say, put Arlong's blade up on your wall. We'll collect all the strong swords we find out at sea and put them in here. So Zoro's two swords go above his bed, and then Arlong's blade at the entrance of the door, to the side. Zoro's room is basically where they collect strong blades now. And he trains with all of them, which just increases skill drastically. Alright, but after that, at the end of this arc, we go on to Logtown, and here they reunite with Buggy and Alvida. As Buggy escaped, Alvida was just punched really far away, and Luffy assumed she was dead or drowned. They're both wrong. But Buggy would try to fight Luffy again, but as he does try, Well, when it comes to Luffy being cuffed down, he already knows he's immune to lightning, so he tells Buggy, saying, "If there's a storm, you're in danger." Buggy asks why, lightning hits him, Luffy gets up, and proceeds to basically beat Buggy down with intense ferocity. By the time he's done, though, Buggy's crew had arrived, saved him, escaped, and Alvida had to fight someone else like Isuka, who bodied her with no difficulty. But Dragon will find Luffy, and Dragon's actually curious on why his son is a Marine. So with that, he ends up actually talking to Luffy and Dragon actually talk. Dragon's intrigued by his son. So Dragon and Luffy talk, Luffy's a bit confused, but when he tells Dragon, what his dream is, Dragon says, freedom by being a Marine, and Luffy simply just says, well, it's weird, he knows. He knows how corrupt certain Marines are, but he hopes to get rid of corruption and get rid of evilness, even if all those are in the same places that he works. So with this, Dragon basically sees the heart of a pirate, a revolutionary, and a Marine still. Luffy doesn't want to save people now. Luffy we'll just call himself a hero, but also heart of pirate, heart of revolutionary. Every role in the world is in Luffy's heart. So Dragon's very proud of this role in his son, as he's basically the perfect balance of everything in the world. If everyone was as accepting as Luffy was, or if everyone was accepting to Luffy's words, there'd be no war. Dragon thinks that's funny that his son can do that if people would listen. But they would not. So Luffy's entire crew, they end up doing a little test, and they all rank up. I'm pretty sure I said at the beginning, I said Luffy was a Lieutenant Junior grade, but that was a little too low for someone like Luffy, who's head of his own ship, so Lieutenant Commander was changed. But with how strong Luffy's proving to be, in fact, even Smoker saying that Luffy has surpassed him. Only thing keeping Smoker from losing to him is his Devil Fruit. Luffy and Smoker are both promoted to one rank, being Commodore. Luffy Smoker, Commodore. At this point, we would have Doll and T-Bone, who are both already Rear Admirals or Vice Admirals, so their ranks don't really change. I would say Rear Admiral at the moment, though. And then we'd go on to Isuka, who is also Lieutenant Commander of Luffy. She's a captain now, and she's given the option to leave and get her own vessel or stay. She chooses to stay. Prince Groose. At this point, I would say Groose is about a lieutenant. Same for Kujaku and Tashigi. Tashigi's a bit stronger, so she's the higher rank. For Grunt, he was an ensign in the beginning of this, and now he's a Lieutenant Junior grade. And Luffy does have Ein and Bins, but for this one, when they were becoming Neo Marines, let's say they got captured, and then Z was arrested. These two are kind of on probation, they're more like chore boys. They're not really doing anything to fight. At least not at the moment. So right now, they're both low ranking as seaman recruits now. They're basically, they're off probation. So they're probation now as seaman recruits. Now, for Dr. Kobato, she's a doctor, doesn't have a role, but if you were to give her a rank, it would be like seaman first class. For Zoro, Kobe, and Helmbo, who all joined on the same day. Kobe is training, Helmbo Zoro's butler still. I would probably put Kobe at about seaman apprentice, and Helmbo is still chore boy, but he's training with Kobe. And Zoro took an intelligence test. He didn't do that great, but his power was really good. So Zoro's starting rank is Master Chief Petty Officer. Then it was opposite for Nami, where she had basically scored really high for intelligence, not too high for battle power, but she was definitely very skilled. So her and Zoro, same rank. For Sanji, he scored average for intelligence, pretty high in power, and he actually was the highest rank currently as Enzu. And then for Usopp, he scored relatively low for battle still. I would say he's Chief Petty Officer. And then, that was kind of all the ranks now. But everyone heads over Reverse Mountain. They find Miss Vivi and Mr. 9. That goes pretty similar as canon. They head to Whiskey Peak. They recognize a lot of them are assassins. When it comes to that, they basically would arrive on Whiskey Peak and begin throwing hands almost immediately as soon as they dock. They throw hands, they body everyone, and then they get told about the crocodile from Igaram and Vivi. So Luffy tells Igaram and Vivi, get on board, we'll escort you out of here. They agree, they have little guard to meet Dory and Bragi, and immediately it's like, oh, you guys used to be pirates. So, and we kind of still are, but we've been here for 100 years having a duel. Luffy asks if they know hockey, they say yes, and Luffy's just kind of intrigued by them, because he wants to learn a little bit of hockey from them. But we don't have time for that because, well, Gem, Mr. 3, or well, Mr. 5, aka Gem, Mr. 3, Miss Valentine, and Miss Golden Week are all on the island now because Gem, or Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine didn't have time to fight them on Whiskey Peak because they left early. So, Mr. 5, Miss Valentine, Mr. 3, and Miss Golden Week, they all arrive. Those 4 fight against the Marines. But honestly, when they try to start the fight, immediately you would see Ayn and Binge show off now, now that they're allowed to fight. Binge would basically wrap up Miss Golden Week with his plants, holding her in place. And then when Mr. 3 tries to use his like iron boxer, or like wax boxer, we basically see Ayn just immediately melt the wax by using her age fruit. And immediately as soon as Mr. 3 realizes what kind of devil fruit that is, he's shot right in the shoulder, and as he stumbles back, Bane will jump in and kick him in the face full force, and him flying through a tree, which knocks him out right then and there. Then Gem tries to basically use fire explosions at Ayn, but we end up seeing Sanjim in the way and tank the explosions for her, which does hurt him, but he's fine. He's like, I'm fine, I'm good. Then Bane will wrap up Mr. 5 in his own devil fruit as well, with like the plants and all that, and he just chokes him out. And when Miss Valentine tries to crush someone with her weight, we end up seeing Isuka jump in the way, holding her up, and just toss her into the water. And as soon as she begins to drown, Isuka saves her by handcuffing her with sea stone. Pause. So yeah, so with their rank up, they also got sea stone cuffs, a certain amount, but sea stone cuffs. So that they end up arresting everyone on board, and they hold them until they get to Alabasta, or first Drama Island. And Luffy even heard that they met Ace there. Like, Luffy would probably get there as Ace is trying to leave. By the way, Ace and Taibo, still criminals. Yeah. This is in the beginning, but still. Yeah. So here, no one is sick. They have Dr. Kawato. But when they arrive, Dr. Kawato cares about everyone and like how they're sick. So they try to actually send Kawato around, giving them the treatment as she can. Which is where she runs into Dr. Kureha and Chopper. Kawato's definitely not on their level, but she's definitely a very good doctor. This is where the Straw Hats all meet. I'll meet up with Chopper and Kureha, and I would say that Chopper would be admired by would admire their free spirits. And immediately Kureha's like, for being Marines, you guys are very free-spirited. Like, you guys remind me of pirates. Isuka is the only one who's a little bit offended by that, but immediately everyone's like, well, our captain, he's a weird guy, but he's fun. So they end up talking, and I would say they end up recruiting Chopper, because why not? Well, Chopper joins this version of the Straw Hats, due to the fact that, like, Kobato is nice to him. But Kureha does say bye to Chopper, and when they're leaving, they come across Wapol's ship. He immediately just try to eat it, but they don't know who he is, so immediately Luffy just says, Ibari, sink it. He fires the cannon inside Wapol's ship, it begins sinking, he freaks out, and they leave him there. Yeah. Alright, he's dead now. Alright, let's go. And no one will ever know they killed Wapol. He's not a very important character at the moment. Like in the manga, he knows about about Emu, but that's about it. Other than that, he served no importance. But yeah. Now on Alabasta. They get there, and honestly, I would say the moment that Crocodile sees how many Marines are here, as you see Hina's entire any Marine that Smoker would have had, aside from Sashigi, Hina has now. So her fleet is huge. Well, that Marine's basically over on Alabasta to fight Crocodile now. So with this, when it comes down to I would say the first fight between Luffy and Crocodile, when Crocodile would canonically impale Luffy, Luffy is not alone. He has handlers for a reason. One of them is going to be with him at all times. It's either going to be one of the three, who either has a Logia, or one of the two who knows hockey. So with this, so when it comes to the fight between Crocodile and Luffy first, one of Luffy's handlers fights Crocodile instead. And I'm going to see who that is real quick. Doll 1. So when it comes to Doll versus Crocodile, I would say her skills definitely not there, but she likely knows hockey. The fact that she's a future vice admiral, and they all know hockey, or one of the 6 powers at bare minimum. So there's a few scenarios where either Luffy and Doll fight off Crocodile. She beats Crocodile, or flat out he does not attack, or the possibility of Doll knowing hockey. But I'm going to go with the scenario that Doll wins and Smoker retreats. Or not, Crocodile retreats. Shit. So Crocodile retreats after Doll beats him, and then eventually move on to the entire fight between all of like Brokeworks versus the Straw Hats, or the Straw Hat group, I guess. Now Luffy and Crocodile are going at it once more, but Luffy was given the idea of like he probably has a weakness, and it's probably water. As his crew is definitely very smart, and if anything, like someone needs things to do, so Luffy definitely has allies with him. Probably one of them being Groose. Let's say Groose able like, oh, we don't know if Groose is a Paramecia or a Logia, I think. So let me check that. I would assume it's a Logia. So basically we can assume that Groose is either a Logia or a really strong Paramecia. But we can see Groose probably like getting like holding Smoker in place and some clay possibly being wet. It'd be able to deal damage to Smoker if Luffy would put her punch through Groose and into Crocodile. So they'd be Crocodile, Luffy and Groose do together. And when it comes to like Usopp and Chopper versus Mr. Valentine and Mr. 4, Chopper and Usopp, or both of them have to be combat trained, but Usopp especially, he's actually able to be physically contend Mr. 4. When it comes to like the baseballs hitting him, he's able to catch them and throw him back at like the same amount of force and knock out Mr. 4. And for Miss Merry Christmas, or whatever, like Groundhog's Day, whatever, she's beaten pretty easily by Chopper. Then for Bone Clay, Sanji struggles to hit him, or to hit her, them. It goes a lot of ways. Sanji struggling to hit them. We end up seeing Kujaku in the way, and her and Sanji fight side by side. Whenever Sanji's struggling in a fight, or whatever, basically, in this case, it's just like he doesn't know how to hit them. Whenever Mr. 2 turns his face into that of a woman, Kujaku would intervene and fight for Sanji. Then whenever it's not like a woman that Sanji knows, or a woman in general, Sanji would land the hit, which does end up in the quick defeat of Mr. 2. Then for the bomb, when it comes to finding that, well, first when it comes to Pell trying to like lift it in the air, you'd probably see Smoker who would just like let Ash just fly up in the air with it with his smoke abilities, and then let it go off, only damaging him minimally. So the bomb goes off, and no one's really too seriously injured. But also Mr. 1 between Zoro and Tashigi is a pretty simple fight. The fact that Zoro is probably the main one here, and he awakens brief armament hockey and cuts down Mr. 1. But yeah, that's basically it. And for the end of it, when it comes to Ace, they're kind of debating, like, should we try to arrest him? Luffy says, it'd be a lost cause. He'd beat all of us. Izuku refuses to believe that and tries to chase after Ace, but Luffy grabs her, holding her up, and tells Ace just bye. But with this does lead to the rank up the shots again after we end up seeing, like, Robin and Chopper join. So, yeah, new ranks. So, Luffy is probably not going to rank up the fact that he doesn't know Haki yet. But, actually, no, he probably can, because Haki or Vice Admirals come in. So I can see him becoming Rear Admiral, but he's now under a lot of pressure to learn Haki from Doll or T-Bone. In fact, that Zoro is someone who actually awakened Haki briefly, according to Tashigi. This does rank up Doll and T-Bone to becoming Vice Admirals full-fledged. They can teach Haki effectively now. Those two are now Vice Admirals a lot earlier in the story, possibly. And then for Isuka, she is a Commodore herself now, but also pressured to learn Haki. And I would say everyone else goes up like one rank. But Robin and Chopper, Robin, her intelligence and skill do bring her pretty high, and she's brought up to Lieutenant, downright Lieutenant, and Chopper's an Ensign. So, yeah. Well, I can see Zoro going up higher, except he briefly awakened Haki, so instead of it being like a Master Chief Petty Officer, Zoro's now like a Lieutenant as well. But, yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to end this part here, to be honest. Just I want to see you guys' reception. Hope you guys enjoyed, though. Like and subscribe for more. Adios.